Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Um, well, next 7 or 8 years for you are going to go through tons of changes. I hope they're all positive.
Thanks.
Yeah, because July 7th, Uranus moved into your sign, and it's like flipping the chessboard over.
I see.
Yeah. Oh Lord, somebody's calling me. Does that come through? Can you tell that somebody's trying to call me?
Nope.
I don't hear
Okay.
that. Mhm.
Okay. Oh,
George
hold.
is early. What's
I
happening? Oh,
know it.
you're right. Things are
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, George is a Gemini too, so y'all can
Commiserate.
sympathize with each other,
So
commiserate. Yeah.
George is my twin then. Excellent.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, the good thing is y'all are into trying new things. George is the epitome of that. Yeah.
Oh God. I was just thinking this morning, do I really want to tackle this other thing I've been thinking about?
Oh God, George, you take on so much. It makes me nervous myself.
Yeah, right. Sarah Jane's with us, and I'm going to get right there. Sarah Jane, I'm going to get you, if you would, to test your ability to share your screen. I think I've got
Perfect.
it okay,
Yep,
so that's good.
I saw her.
I believe so. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, yeah, we can. Okay, so we're good with that.
Okay, perfect. Let me just double check. Yep, it looks good to me. If you guys are ready, I'm ready to get started straight away. We get into the fun. It's really nice to see everyone here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to wait for Paul to join us. He's sort of
Perfect.
your introduction, and we're going to
That
do
sounds
that.
good.
And then we normally do a little bit of market updates, and we take a few minutes with Patty and with Aaron. Aaron's not with us quite yet. Paul has joined us. So anyway, Patty,
And
why
I
you
could.
want to go ahead and start, and we'll let people jump on as they get out of bed.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Tesla's popping, and I just want to get out of this
Popping up or
one.
down?
Up, thank God.
You got
Yesterday
to
was
say,
so wonderful. Yeah. Okay. I'll go quickly. So the Dow, S&P, and Nasdaq are all up for the week. Not quite 1% each, but they have the S&P and Nasdaq continue to hit all-time highs. It feels like almost every day, but definitely on
it
Wednesday.
does.
Yeah, so the Dow's up 0.79%, S&P 0.8%, Nasdaq just a half a percent. Russell is the only one that's down, Russell 2000, 0.57%, but it's only 13 points. Uh, Gold had its best day, I think, on Tuesday. It has really rallied. So I looked back. So gold went up to 3,445. It's down about $100 today, but it hit an all-time high. And this year it's up 25%. In 1 year, it's up 39%. I know that's not as good as Bitcoin, but you know, December 2024, it was like a flat $2,000. So it's up almost 1450. Silver, so both gold and silver are down today. Silver on Wednesday, it also hit a high of $39.90. It's hovering around $39 this morning. It actually dipped below it for a little while. I didn't look back on that one, but silver's done great this year if you're following that. The dollar continues to weaken. It's down almost $1 for the week. The Monday it was at 98.48, and this morning it was 97.753. The 10 years just stuck at 4.4. WI crude has had a 2 week losing streak. Uh, Remember, and I look back at 2022, June 2022, it was at $111.45, and it can't get out of its own way. It's about $66 today.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess the only macro kind of news is Trump is all over Powell. And if you saw CNBC yesterday or any kind of news that Trump went over to the Federal Reserve to visit those buildings, and he did clarify, he's not going to fire Trump, but it was it was funny to see him pat Jay Powell on the back and say, "We'd like for him to reduce interest rates." But the visit was really about all the cost overruns for refurbishing the Federal Reserve buildings.
Right.
In terms of stocks, I'll only mention Tesla and Nvidia. Tesla um, dropped 8% yesterday. They did earnings on Wednesday. They had a terrible quarter. So it dropped down more than $31 yesterday. And for the year, it's down 25%. And one thing that I did pick up on that in 2022, uh, Tesla sold 75% of its Bitcoin holdings and only had $722 million worth of value last year, which is up over a billion now. But that was really dumb of Elon. And Nvidia, remember its all-time high was about 154. Well, it did have good earnings, and so now it's sticking around 171,
Yeah.
174. Yeah.
Patty, can I just interrupt for a second? I do
Yeah.
want you to know this is not financial advice. So everything we
No,
talk
I'm just
about here
reporting.
is purely for education, and it is recorded. And the only thing I might, have you looked at the gems market, specifically diamonds? It's kind of
No,
interesting what's going on. You talk about a roller coaster, but anyway, there's
I haven't followed that.
yeah,
Well,
it's
I
kind
just
of
had
interesting. But anyway, all right, that's all I
one.
got. Is
Okay, well, one last point. I just wanted to
okay.
say, if you haven't noticed, the meme stocks are back. It's no longer AMC and GameStop. It's Krispy Kreme, Wayfair, Kohl's, Open Door, Cost, Clover, Beyond Meat, SBCE. They are going crazy, and they're trading more contracts, you know, buys and call what do you call options than Tesla and Nvidia combined. It's ridiculous. So if you feel like gambling, okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, excellent. Aaron, I don't believe is on the call to give us an update on crypto. He may join us in a little bit. We're going to extend this call. We're going to give Sarah Jane enough time for her to develop the conversation and time for questions and answers. And we sort of set it up different ways that I've sent out information about this call. And I'm going to turn it over to Paul. And then at the end of it, we're going to kind of wrap it up. And then we're going to ask Dennis and a couple other people who've got upcoming events to join us. To explain what they've got going in their pipeline. So, Paul, if you're ready, I will ask you to say hey to everybody and welcome Sarah Jane to the call.
Yeah, thanks, George. Good to see a nice crowd here for Sarah, and good to see Sarah joining us from across the world or across the pond, I guess, where the golf tournament was at last weekend. Not far from her. I think it's on the other part of the country, but relatively close and kind of the same vicinity of the woods. But um, so Sarah is a developer with Algorand. Very active follow on LinkedIn. She's all over the place, attending events, speaking. Middle East and Europe, seems like all over the world. She led a Web3 masterclass that George and I attended about 2 months ago. I think it was sometime in May. It was broken up into 6 sessions. It was 2 sessions a week. Um, the content started out with really just Web3 basics. It went into an overview of Algorand. Then how do we begin to ideate around, blockchain and really Web3? Then there was a session on NFTs and really building with the Algorand platform. Then no code, and then I think we ended up with awards, and there were some people that were presenting some of the projects they were working on. So all told, it was probably about, I don't know, 16 to 20 hours or so, somewhere around that amount. We actually got a certificate of completion that was an NFT. That was provided to us through Algorand's own wallet, Para. And for those that aren't familiar with Algo, I think it's going to be a name that we're going to recognize here pretty routinely here over the coming years. Notes that I wrote down: Algorand is an energy efficient, quantum secure, single layer blockchain offering instant finality, consistently high throughput and low fees. So the timing of Sarah joining us is very good. Why? Because well, the Genius Act was passed last week. Well, what does that mean? Well, effectively, crypto can become money now. Well, what does that do? Well, then that opens up really RWA and DeFi. Enter Algorand. Got a lot of RWA projects. Going to be an active player in DeFi. I don't want to steal her thunder. Those are the notes that I wrote down, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Sarah.
Oh,
You did a
can you tell me what RDWA is or whatever?
RWA?
Yeah, RDWA.
Yeah, real world assets.
Ah,
So as think of a world in, I don't know, 5 to 10 years where most, if not everything, is going to be on the blockchain. Stocks, I was just listening to what's his name? Rick Edelman. He's a big time financial advisor. He's on CNBC saying that people should have anywhere between 10 to 40% of their assets in cryptocurrencies. The snippet that I caught yesterday is that, we went from mutual funds to ETFs. Now we're going to go from ETFs to, really tokenized offerings. So real world asset tokenization, whether it's stocks, bonds, currency, data, real estate, contracts, everything is going on chain. So RWA represents, and there's a website, I think I've shared it in the chat, rwa.xyz. It shows you like what blockchains have, um, active real world asset projects. So
Yeah, Paul, you did amazing. You do my job better. Yeah, that's
okay.
a great intro. I'm wondering what sort of levels are people at? Like, do you guys understand what blockchain is? I'm very happy to put it to the very uh, low level and explain it up if people are, or are people here accustomed to what blockchain technology is?
I think so. I
Yes.
think most people are comfortable, and at that level, yeah. And we know,
Okay, perfect.
okay, yeah.
Okay, great. I'm just going to skip a few slides then, just because I know I don't want to take everyone's time, too much time. Okay, I'll share my screen now. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to give an introduction to Algorand, a little bit about. I'm going to skip the what is blockchain part now. So I've skipped those slides because you guys are more accustomed to blockchain, especially with Paul and George. These guys are experts. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Algorand. What is it? Then talk about some of those real world assets or applications that are building on Algorand as well. And then like a mini ecosystem update to let you know what's happening in our ecosystem. And then I have a really cool thing which George mentioned, which was the Web3 masterclasses, and maybe this might be of interest to some of you guys. We actually just yesterday had our Web3 masterclasses pitch competition where 12 projects that were shortlisted gave a pitch and their demo of their proof of concept, and 7 of them got some money. The first prize got 5,000, and we're working with them to prepare for the startup challenges, which will have $100,000 in rewards up for grabs. But without further ado, let's get straight into the content for today. So, welcome to Algorand. Hopefully, George and Paul have been talking about Algorand a little bit after the masterclasses if they've seen fit. Who am I? My name is Sara Jane. I'm from Ireland. I work at the Algorand Foundation as a junior developer community advocate, and my passion lies in learning and teaching others about the real world potential of blockchain. I love breaking down ideas and making them accessible for all kinds of learners and builders, no matter at what stage they're in. And I'm going to skip through this section because this was the blockchain part, and I'm going to go to enter Algorand. So, built for builders, loved by users. If I was to explain Algorand in one sentence, as Paul has already said, Algorand is an energy efficient, quantum secure, single layer blockchain but instant finality, consistently high throughput, and low fees. And it's been operating at 100% uptime for 6 years since inception. Now, there's a lot of jargon in there. I feel like we should break it down a little bit. So, what do I mean by quantum secure? If we think about the quantum computers that are coming out, either theoretically or maybe in reality at some stage in the coming years, a lot of what is built, whether it's blockchain or the internet, is going to be vulnerable to these quantum computers. So we need to start securing these ledgers that are immutable and have all this data that is meant to be immutable, so it can't change. So we have currently, thanks to a lot of mathematics, the history of our ledger. So all of the transactions is completely quantum secure. So that means no quantum computer, if it was born today, can go in and change any transactions, which is very powerful for enterprises and for that security side of things. There are other things we need to do to have a fully quantum secure blockchain. But if people have questions at the end about that, I'm happy to go through it. But let's keep it simple for now. And yeah, so I'm going to take you now through the origins. So the origin story of Algorand is actually quite cool, and it's very American as well. So it sort of helps explain why this blockchain is so technically sound and enterprise ready from day one. We have a lot of deep roots in academia. So Algorand was founded by Silvio Micali. He's an Italian computer science who's considered one of the modern forefathers of cryptography. He's a Turing Award winner, which is basically the Nobel Prize of computer science. He is a longtime professor at MIT, where a lot of groundbreaking cryptographic research has taken place. And he's known for like inventing a few things that are really revolutionary in this industry. So zero knowledge proofs. I don't know if that's ever come up in these calls, but it's a way to prove something is true without revealing the actual information. And he's also co-invented verifiable random functions. So that's just another bit of cryptography, some magic. And what that allows is to ensure fairness and unpredictability in these decentralized systems. So they're very important and used across top blockchains today. So Algorand launched in 2019. That was the mainnet. I think it's always important to go through the numbers. It sort of helps. And if you guys are into stocks and all this stuff, you are all number people as well. So it might stick better, this information. Algorand can theoretically do 10,000 transactions per second, which is very good for scalability for enterprises. And actually, a community member, a community developer, wanted to do a bit of a stress test. So they were able to fit over 34,000 transactions into one block. And so if you were to have that sustained, that would equal to about 12,000 transactions per second. So we theoretically put it out that we can do 10,000, but it has been proven we can do more as well. And these blocks that have all of these transactions, they take less than 3 seconds. We have a 0.001 algo fee. So say if I was to have like a US penny and I was to chop it up like pizza into 10 slices, that's how much it costs to do a transaction on Algorand is 1/10 of a US penny. We have instant finality, which is unique for a blockchain. And what this means is once you send a transaction to the network, it takes 2.8 seconds. Then on Algorand, it's instantly final. On other blockchains, maybe it'll take a couple of seconds or it could be super quick, but then there's this time for confirmation. So it could be 12 seconds, could be a couple minutes, could even be hours. But what instant finality, why is that so important? It allows the vulnerability of rollbacks or reorgs or forking to take place. But since we have instant finality, we don't have any forks. It is mathematically near impossible to have the chain split off. Like in Bitcoin, you'd have a single chain of truth. Then it would fork. 2 chains are going along. Valid transactions are going to both, right? But eventually the longest chain is chosen to be the single chain of truth again. So all of these other valid transactions just get scrapped, which is completely against the ethos. As our CMO, Mark Vanderberg, he says, forking is it's a bug. It shouldn't be seen as this magical thing. So, and if you didn't know what a rollback was, it's basically when you have a confirmed series of transactions that just get rollbacked, which is once again not really against the ethos of sending a transaction and having it immutable. Then, as mentioned before, we have the zero downtime since inception. Touch wood. This is technology. Who knows what could happen? And if we see at the very bottom, we have some numbers. We have done over 50 million blocks, over 3 billion transactions. And actually, within the last year, we have done 1 billion of those. So we're growing at a really fast rate these days as well. Over the past 2 years, it's been growing a lot, and we have 2.4 million monthly active users. So this is the CMO, by the way. So that's Mark. And we're going to look at Algorand in action. So this is the mini ecosystem update. And I just added a few slides before I jumped in about some real world assets or applications, because I think it's quite interesting. And there was already a question about RWAs. So this sort of fits in. So if we kick off this use case section with a well-known brand, Lavazza Coffee, it's an Italian coffee company. So if we think about a typical journey of a cup of coffee, it starts with the farmers picking beans in remote locations, and it ends up with someone grabbing coffee off a shelf or in a supermarket. So the problem there is most of us have no idea where that coffee is actually coming from. Was it ethically sourced? Was it grown sustainably? Was it processed fairly? And this is where blockchain comes in. So Lavazza is using the Algorand blockchain to trace the full supply chain of their coffee from farm to shelf. So each bag of coffee has a QR code. So when a consumer scans it, they can see the full story, where the beans were growing, how they were processed, how they traveled. Every single step is recorded immutably on Algorand. And this builds transparency and trust, two important things that are becoming more increasingly important to conscious consumers. And it also helps Lavazza verify sustainability claims and ensure quality because they now have an auditable, tamper-proof record of their sourcing practices. And if we take a look, I just seen a chat. Let me just check what it is. Yes, Paul, that's a great point. Yeah, so there is this trilemma, this blockchain trilemma that is talked about, decentralization, scalability, and security. And Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, said you can only have with this trilemma, you can only deal with two things, and there has to be a trade-off of one. But Silvio Macali was like, no way, we can make this work, and that's where Algorand sprang out of. So that was a great point to bring up. So if we check now back at Lavazza, this is what it looks like. This is an actual real snapshot of what Lavazza's actual blockchain transactions look like. What you're seeing here is a metadata note attached to a transaction. It contains detailed info like where the beans were harvested, the specific farm zone, the coffee species, whether it's Arabica or Robusta, how it was harvested, and in this case, it's handpicked, and even the specific dates of harvesting and processing. So, as mentioned before, it's extremely useful for consumers and the company itself. And if we have a look, there's the transaction fee, just 0.001 algo, which is a tenth of a penny to record all of that information at a tamper-proof immutable level. And it is also quantum secure as well because of the history of the chain. So another one that's kind of interesting is Enel. They're one of the largest electric utility companies in the world, and it's built on Algorand in partnership with Conio. So the problem they're solving is solar panels are a great way to generate clean energy, but not everyone can install them. Maybe you live in an apartment, a historic building, or you simply cannot afford the upfront cost. What Anil has done is tokenize ownership of solar panels. That means you can buy a share of a solar panel even if it's installed on someone else's property or in a solar farm. So they handle all the setup and maintenance, and the energy that panel generates is credited directly to your bill. And Algorand makes this possible by making ownership of each solar share traceable and tradable, automating the application of the energy credits itself, and ensuring the transparent tracking of production and usage. So it's just a perfect example of how blockchain can enable new models of participation. Now, I have so many more real world applications we could get into. For example, there's some in that list too. Lofty, which do fractional home ownership in the US, they're doing incredibly well. They have been running since 2021 on Algorand, and I believe they have. Let's see if I remember all the numbers, but I believe it's over 180 properties in the US that they have in their on their platform that people can invest in. Because the hard thing about real estate is you either need a big chunk of money straight away, and you need to go there, you need to have a look at the house and all the stuff that comes with buying a house. But with Lofty, you're able to invest in these houses, apartments, even a McDonald's, I think, was up there. And you can pay in $50 and you can start to earn from either the property value growth or the rental income that comes from it as well. So they're pretty interesting. But we also have, this is a small ecosystem overview, by the way. There's tons of companies and projects. This is just to give a little overview. We have payments. So Quantos, they work with the Dutch central bank over in Europe, and they are making an EMT, an electric money token. So I know that this call is more based in the US. You guys have the SEC and the regulation coming in there, like the Genius Act. Over in Europe, we have the MiCA, which is the EU regulation coming out for crypto, blockchain, and all this stuff. So an EMT is MiCA compliant, a stable coin or CBDC, and all those things are not MiCA compliant. And one thing that popped into my head while Paul was talking was actually with the Genius Act coming in, it's fantastic for crypto, but it's regulation. Not all blockchains or cryptos are ready to create what a Genius Act wants. But on Algorand, our Algorand standard assets, so that's the assets on top of the Algorand blockchain, they're already ready to go. Like it's perfect for the Genius Act because we have exactly what's needed for the regulation, and it's very accessible. So that's pretty cool as well. We have Para, which is one of the wallets. So if you're interested in giving it a go, you can download Para. Always be sure to write down your paraphrase. And I'll also love to connect with some of you guys on LinkedIn or Twitter as well, and I can help you get started if you had any more questions after this. We have a lot of DeFi as well, and some of the access across platforms. So Algorand in USDC, so the US stablecoin, are all supported by major on and off ramps from Alchemy Pay, OnRamp.money to Transact and MoonPay. So it makes it easy for users to move value in and out across the ecosystem globally. Let me just check the chat as well. Yeah, Lofty, thank you so much. And if we go over to this slide, Algo, the native token of Algorand, is listed on over 70 exchanges. So you can find it from all the top names like Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, OKX, and Crypto.com, meaning users can easily buy, trade, and use Algo wherever they are. And lastly, I think it's important to hone in on this because, some people are really getting big into stable coins right now. So USDC is also wildly supported. This makes it easier for users or maybe developers to leverage stable value on chain, whether for payments, DeFi, or global access itself. So Binance, Coinbase, Crypto.com, all the big ones. And before we shift gears into talking about the Web3 masterclasses a little bit before I finish, because I'm conscious that I don't want to take up too much of your time and make sure there's questions as well. Algorand's mission is basically to power a world where information has integrity and innovative solutions can scale. And everything we've explored today, the instant finality, the reliability, the low fees, and the no forks, they help serve this mission. So if you're looking for integrity of information, trust from users, and the ability to scale when your idea takes off, Algorand is designed to support that journey. So now let's get on to the extra fun stuff, which George and Paul has already been through the process. Though we're bringing in some cool new things as well, so I feel like maybe you'll join us again. We'll see. There's some new topics. But firstly, I have a question for you all, sort of a statement actually. You can build a Web3 startup without writing a line of code. Now, if we were in person, I'd say raise your hand, but let's see. I don't know how to raise hands. Let's see if I can see.
I don't either.
All right.
I think we
Okay,
could
so
put
who
in
thinks it?
Um, I've done the master
So
class, so I get to say you're right.
it's not even a right or wrong. I think
'Cause
we all know that like no code might not be the end goal for like a big enterprise product, to have it completely built by AI or anything like this. But it's a really powerful way to test ideas and get them live, which the master classes is all about having an idea and then making a proof of concept. And non-tech founders, it's like the way I see it is in a traditional world, anybody can go and start building their business. They have a business idea. They're not afraid. They're like, oh, this won't work for me. Why should it be any different with blockchain? Because it's not about going and building on blockchain and centering everything around this technology. Blockchain is only meant to be there to enhance your current business idea, whether it's on the scalability, decentralization, or security side of things. Um, so I'm going to show you something really cool, or at least I find it pretty cool. Um, let's see if I can get it up. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you this demo, and we've changed up the master classes a little bit. We're going to go a lot deeper into how to build a proof of concept and integrate blockchain into that. So this was built all completely with AI. Of course, I'm a developer myself, and I'm studying software development in university. Um, but this is about helping non-tech founders get started because you're able to go from, you used to have to raise for an MVP and to start on your MVP. Nowadays, you can get through it, build your MVP and go to these pitch competitions, go to these hackathons, startup challenges, and win some money, and then perhaps hire a developer to go more deeply into the code. But then you can get into accelerators and start raising money and talking to VCs and angel investors and all this good stuff. So this is like the starting point. So if you have an idea, this is perfect. So this is all built with AI. I connected my wallet and my blockchain wallet. Then this is a minting an NFT, which also built with AI. We can see the NFT was minted there. Then we come back and I'm going to mint some tokens as well to showcase that. And on Algorand, the really cool thing is if you were on Ethereum or these other blockchains, you would have to create a smart contract to mint some of these. And that just adds a lot of complications. A smart contract is basically just some code that gets deployed on chain, and then your user would call a method, and if they were to be fulfill what they need for it to trigger, then it will trigger the action back, or it won't trigger anything because they have not, done what they needed to do. So say if it was a saving jar and you set a goal for 10 US dollars and you were to put in 5 US dollars and then you try to withdraw it, the smart contract won't let you because you have not reached the $10 goal you set. But once you give another $5, then you can withdraw because you have the $10 and the smart contract checks everything's all good. So it automatically executes it for you. Um, but to do assets and NFTs on Algorand, you can quite simply, we have no code websites called WenTools, quite simply. Say if I was to go to that. And you can go into simple mint, fill in some information, mint it, and Bob's your uncle. And then, yeah, so you could do that all with a smart contract on Algorand, which makes it so much easier and more accessible for non-technical founders. So if we look at the end of this demo, perfect, you can sign out your wallet, and that's a working proof of concept. Now, you guys could probably design a way better looking website. But if you are interested in the Web3 masterclasses, feel free to scan the code. I'll also put a link in the chat. We're starting the next batch of the Web3 masterclasses on the 29th of July, so that's next week. It's going on for 3 weeks. It's about an hour and a half per session, and session 2, 4, and 5 is going to be really helping you create a proof of concept and getting started about making your idea a reality. And we have lots of programs to help support that as well. So I don't know if you guys come up with ideas in the shower, or maybe you wake up at 2 a.m. and a random idea pops into your head, and then by the time you wake up in the morning, it disappears. So we're looking for all types of people. You know, you don't have to be this, um, I don't know, this perfectly set up person in life to have an idea. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys there. I sent the link in the chat, but once again, thank you, George and Paul. Hopefully, I didn't take up too much time. I really appreciate you guys listening, and I'll send my LinkedIn into the chat as well. Hopefully, we can connect. And yeah, welcome to the Algo fam.
That's great.
Awesome. I will get my LinkedIn
Of
really
course, I'm
quickly.
muted here. So, but thank you so much. That's been great. Man, you did, I'm telling you, you blasted through it. You did a great job. You covered a lot and you got a lot of questions, I'm sure. And I'll sort of, anybody want to start it out? And first of all, let me say thank you for explaining forks because a lot of people talk about what that is, and the fact that you haven't had forks is impressive, and the uptime as well. Anybody want to take a stab at asking her any questions about the master class, about the assistants? I know we've got Sam from the Innovation Center who may want to ask if he's still on the call about how we can deploy some of the masterclass with some of the startups in the Innovation Center.
I'll ask something, George.
Sure,
This is
Jim.
Jim. Um, uh, to the question to the speaker, how are there things going on to help build confidence in terms of like a complaint system? You know, a lot of times, you say, "Hey, there's a problem. I've lost my money. This doesn't work," and then of course, you get a half a dozen AI things called "beat this number," et cetera, and in the end, nothing happens, and it scrolls back to the same question gets asked again or answered again. How are you helping to build confidence to people who have issues and problems that try to use Algorand in some capability? Do you have something built in that helps move people and feel confident? I mean, the real techies are going to get most of it anyway, but you've still got to try to build some confidence that this is a valuable capability.
Right, that's a really interesting question. So there's a few points I'd love to bring up. Firstly, the background of Algorand, it's very academic. A lot of like MIT research has gone into it, so it's more about being accessible to institutions and, of course, having the regulation already inbuilt into our assets is very helpful as well. So I do understand that in crypto, there's a lot of scams and things like this. So um, I do believe that there needs to be a lot more done. Now, for the context of somebody getting started in Web3 or in blockchain and they were to go fully into it, it's all about self-sovereignty. It's all about unbanking yourself in a way that you're going to have the complete responsibility of managing your own assets in your own wallet. And so if you were to, you know, forget your paraphrase, or maybe you didn't write it down and you uninstall the app and then you try to get back into it, you have completely lost everything that you had in that wallet. And
Correct.
so normally what you do is with a bank, they would have all of your funds for you. But a bank, what does a bank do? A bank has your money, but they earn off of your money, and you don't necessarily see a lot of that at all. And so it's a business. A bank is a business, and using blockchain is a way for you to have complete independence of your own money and assets. Now, for the wallet thing, there is this, because it's all brand new. Bitcoin was in 2009, right? And Algorand 2019, 10 years later, which is quite kind of interesting, I find. But there's lots of standards coming out, regulations just coming in. It's going, it's really interesting time at the moment. But I'm going to send into the chat. This is DREC Alliance, and we're one of the founding partners of this standard that we're trying to put out there. And what the standard is not just for blockchain and not just for decentralization. It's for also any passwords. So it could be a password you put into your maybe Gmail account or Google accounts. And the way it works now, I have not went as deep into DREC until last year, I believe, so I might be a bit rusty. But essentially, they take parts of your password and they allow it to be in different parts of other people's sort of technology. So if we can imagine you have your key, say we can even put it in like a real world perspective. We just have our normal key over here and say that was, broken up into different parts, and we give it to, like, say your mom, maybe your boss. You probably wouldn't give it to your boss, but this is just an example. Give it to your dog even. Well, we won't say dog, but you give it to all these different things. And then essentially, if you were to lose a bit of your password, well, if you have majority of the pieces, you'll be able to recover it again. And having recovery of keys is extremely important in blockchain because once you lose it, there's no getting it back. But with DREC Alliance, there is a standard that will allow you to get it back. And we're founding partners, Algorand. We also have major blockchains like Cardano, Hedera. I wonder if I can get their team up. Yeah, Cardano, Ripple. So where everyone's trying to come into the standards. There's also Casper Association, the Multiverse Constellation. So we're just building this, and this came out properly maybe last year or 2 years ago. So it's being worked on quite heavily. And the guy who came up with this idea is actually Lehman Bard. He's the founder of Hedera.
Yeah,
so
that's
hopefully
very
that helps
helpful.
answer your
Yeah,
question.
it does. It does. But when you say, yeah, what the banks are making money off your money, well, somebody is making money off of lost credentials. Don't know quite who, but so there's no free lunch here. Okay, thanks. That was helpful though. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It's such an interesting conversation. I guess in my personal experiences, I got into it for the technology side of things. So of course, there's these meme coins, there's these cryptos, and ways to make money, and somebody is profiting off of it, and perhaps in some ways in a very ill way. So yeah, it is interesting, but hopefully regulation and standards can help with this process.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't know somebody that lost all their crypto? I mean, that there's tons and tons of people. Fewer now.
Sara Jane hasn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else?
Very quickly, if I may. First of all, thank you, everyone, for this is really excellent, and Sara Jane in particular, thank you. But question, you raised the statement you made about the Genius Act, and you have on your platform already built-in compliance tools to facilitate RWA based on that, or stablecoins issued on that. Can you tell us more about that, and what does one do in the interim before the Stable Act becomes effective?
Yeah, let me share my screen here. So what we have here is back to when tools when you're minting an asset. So say if you were to mint an asset, I'm not going to mint one now because my phone is across the room. But here is the important part. We have freeze and we have clawback. And basically what this allows is when you need freeze and clawback for regulation. For example, Circle, who mints USDC, they don't really like to mint on blockchains that don't allow a freeze. Because if you freeze, you're able to freeze an asset, and so the account that holds that asset cannot move that asset in or out of their wallet. Then with clawback, you're able to, say if I was to send you 10 USDC, or no, I'll create a brand new token to keep it completely fresh. If I was to create the George token and I was to give you 10 George token and I had clawback on, I would be able to take 5 of those Georges whenever I wanted. No, of course, if you have random people creating meme coins and they have these set, it's a huge red flag. Oh, they're gonna buy it and you're just gonna claw it back. Like that's horrendous. So this is the catch as well, which was just elegantly made with Algorand. When you're making these assets right then and there, you have to choose whether you want freeze or claw back on or have them both turned off. The minute you mint, you cannot go back and turn it back on for whatever reason. So the people who turn on freeze and clawback and they have, no regulation behind them, it's not a company, they're not working with, institutions, well, that's probably maybe a bit of a red flag unless they have some, whole roadmap of why they have it. But with institutions who do use it, there is more of a, I wouldn't say SAFU, because banks can go bankrupt. It's the same thing. If an institution could randomly become criminal after a while and try to take everything back. But there's a lot less of a likelihood of that happening. So hopefully that helps answers that. So the Genius Act needs the freeze and clawback. Now, I haven't dived too deeply into the Genius Act. We've recently hired Jenny Levin, based out of Washington, I believe. And so she sort of did a few threads and I was reading through them. So I'm just reiterating her knowledge.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Um,
Hey, Sara Jane, this is Sam Hurst. Hey, George, thanks for inviting me to this call. Yeah, as George mentioned, I'm the executive director of the Boyd Innovation Center here in Columbia, South Carolina. So we've got various entrepreneurs of all sorts in the high growth, high tech worlds. And I'm sure there's interest in our community in this sort of thing. You mentioned that Web3 masterclass. Is there a fee for that? If we were to push that towards people, and sort of suggest they go, is that free? Is that fee? Do you do any sorts of hybrid learning with that kind of content?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's completely free. Everything that we do at the foundation, we're non-for-profit as well. We're all about building up the ecosystem. So this Web3 masterclass is completely free. I sent the link in the chat, but I can share the QR code again. We also have, since maybe some of the entrepreneurs, Sam, that you have, maybe at a higher level, we actually have, let me share my screen. We have an Algorand accelerator as well. So if they're already past the MVP stage, they have some traction, they have some users, they can join the Algorand accelerator. They can get up to $50,000 in initial funding. We'll help them with marketing, compliance, technical support, accounting, all these things that we can help with. And if they go through the accelerator, then we'll start to introduce them to our VC network as well as our own Algorand Ventures, where they can raise a lot more money as well. So there's sort of like this funnel we're creating here at the Algorand Foundation to help support entrepreneurs. So I think, yeah, Sam, it would be great to connect on LinkedIn as well.
Great, thanks. And I see that the Web3 one is starting in just a couple of days. Is there another one after that? Are you doing those in regular series?
Yeah, so we did our first ever one where George and Paul were present in, I believe, May or April. And so this one's in July. We also just yesterday had the Web3 Masterclasses pitch competition. So people who went through the program, built their proof of concept, got shortlisted, and now they presented yesterday. 7 people won some money. And then we're going to have startup challenges, which is happening in September, which might be useful to them as well, Sam. There will be 100,000 up for rewards there, and it's going to be 10 sessions. So it's going to be a bit more intense than the Web3 masterclasses, but it's taking people who maybe have maybe 3 or more people in their team. They've already have a proof of concept integrated with Algorand, or they already have like a Web2 business and they are starting to get integrated into blockchain. But yeah, I believe we're going to have Web3 masterclasses next year. So we're going to run this one. Then we're going to do startup challenges. Then it'll be nearly Christmas time, I'd say. And then the following year, we're going to have Web3 masterclasses again, probably early on in the year.
Let me jump in and say that, Sam, if you introduced it and they couldn't get on the first one, they can still maybe miss one or two and catch up live on the master classes, but the previous classes are also viewable online after the fact, so they can catch up in that way. So maybe they can't do anything till August, but still they can benefit from the class and go back. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Yeah,
Am I
that's a
Thank
great
thinking
point.
right there? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So once you register, you're able to have the whole 6 sessions ready. You can join live or you can watch it on demand. So if you register once, you'll get the all the content as well. So yeah, great point. Thank you, George.
You bet.
Great. Thanks.
Uh,
Looking forward to connecting, Sarah Jane.
What I think we're going to do, let me mention one more thing with Sarah Jane, and then I'm going to let Dennis, and we're going to talk about the Beeple. By the way, Sarah Jane, you mentioned in the first master class about the Beeple Studio, which is in Charleston, South Carolina, and they have an event called Crypto Punks, which I'm going to, that's August the 9th. And
Wow.
you won't be able to be there, but it'll be kind of fun. We'll give you a recap what it was like, maybe some photos, some
Yeah,
videos, that sort of thing.
that'd be
Uh,
awesome.
but we
I
do,
will be,
yeah,
oh, sorry. I was going to say I will be over in the States, but I'll be on the other side. I'll be going to California in August. So
okay. Well, let me ask you
I'll need
one
to go
more
to
thing.
Carolina sometime.
Someday. Okay. So anyway, I thought the traceability or tracking of the Lavazza coffee bean was interesting. South Carolina is a very agricultural state, and we have a lot of crops here that could benefit maybe from that design that Lavazza coffee beans have employed or deployed. With corn, I guess corn, soybeans, what else we got here? Cotton, that sort of thing. I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And George will probably link up offline as well. Feel free to intro me to any projects and we'll help them get started in any way.
Okay. Excellent. Dennis, if you're on the call still, I think you are. Yeah, there you are. You may be. Dennis has a class coming up the 23rd of, I'm sorry, the 31st of July that he may want to talk about. And then I've mentioned the Beeple. And then the last thing is Jennifer, do you want to talk about the Robert Smalls event coming up here in Columbia? If you're still on the call. She may not be on the call. So anyway, all right. Anybody else got anything? Because we have extended the call, but everybody does have to get back to work. And so
Yeah, I got a question.
anybody else?
Hold on, got it. Finally found the
Dennis
unmute
wants to
button.
say something.
Okay.
Good
Dennis is
heavens, trying to
alive.
find trying to find the unmute button drives you crazy sometimes. Especially when you got like 5 windows open up on your phone. So, nonetheless, yeah, Sarah Jane, thank you for joining us. Obviously, your input has been really wonderful. We've had contact with Algorand in the past. There is I think your chief development officer, somebody's up in Spartanburg, South Carolina, that I had some conversations with a couple of years ago. If there's an opportunity to dig into that and resurrect that contact, I would love to, because I mean your comments about the pitch contest marry in exactly with what we're doing. We're actually in the process right now of planning a pitch event for March of next year that will be done in cooperation with the University of South Carolina Law School, and we're working on looping the business school in as well. That also falls right in place with a lot of the planning that Patty and I put together last year, which has been extended this year, into how we bring in more investment capital or startup capital for for just that. Obviously, the $5,000, $50,000 gates for pitch contests, white paper competitions, et cetera. So I'll use that to sort of segue into what we're doing with the University of South Carolina right now. We've started we will be kicking off a 5 seminar series of CLE. So Reba, for your purposes, you may want to register for this or any of the other attorneys in the group. But the focus is really on how our AI BTC report impacts digital currencies, the convergence of digital assets and AI for trust verification, and the concept of a state-owned data center has never been vetted in any capacity. It was really very eye-opening in our pre-call yesterday with David Pope. David is the commissioner at the Wyoming Stable Token Commission. He has been involved in this since day one. We featured David in that program a year ago in October with its initial kickoff. In our conversation, I asked him point blank. I said, "Have you guys ever considered, introducing a data center into your concept?" He said, "Absolutely not." I mean, so we have really, this is a groundbreaking concept. We've been able to utilize it, obviously, because of the state's interest in disrupting itself with AI that grew out of the Lawmaker 101 event that we had in Columbia at the State House. That was met with a private meeting later on with Representative Bradley, who told us a lot of the problems that we had. Our corporate sponsor, Core Scientific, was working in the direction of creating a sovereign AI data center initiative in the state, specifically to make South Carolina first in that regard. This concept is being pitched all around the world right now, but primarily for your major manufacturers, because if anybody's been watching Justin Wang just yesterday, he made the comment that basically factories are going to have two essential components. I mean, you're not going to be able to manufacture unless you have an AI component associated with it, somewhere where they're crunching that data. So for South Carolina as a whole, underpinning the manufacturing initiative in South Carolina, the success of it with AI is really a foundational platform. And our concept is to take technology and really set it on its side and make it a supporting process, across the board for all of the industries in South Carolina, and actually provide it as a gateway to digital identity as well.
So Dennis,
and on that note, let me just we got some time, George. But just a second.
The question was, when are you doing this thing on July the 31st? Where is it and what time is it?
Yeah, I posted that in the chat. It is July 31st at noon. It'll be online as a Zoom conference, and we'll have probably 4 additional seminars that we'll be scheduling as well. The next one I'm planning with John Deaton and Emma Channing, and then we'll end with Scott Stranetta. Actually, Scott will probably be number 3.
Okay, so it's July 31st.
So July 31st.
And
yep.
then.
Yeah,
okay,
and
cool.
then we also have an event planned with Dorchester County Republican Party. Obviously, you and I have been talking about some things as well. So with that, that's where we are.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, let's wrap it up, people. Everybody's got to get back to work, make some money. Sara Jane, thank you so much. We will be connecting with you, doing the master class. Love it. Thank you all. Thank the rest of y'all. I'm gonna talk. Go ahead, Patty.
I just had a question for Sara Jane. In terms of having all your information on the blockchain and using the coffee company as an example, if they were to be required to do an audit, like a comprehensive audit, using the blockchain is more efficient than the old-fashioned way, correct?
Yeah, it depends for different reasons. So you shouldn't use blockchain for everything for numerous reasons, but when you do use it, it is much better. So for security reasons, it might be better if they do it because it's tamper-proof. So in a normal database, you can read the information, you can update the information, and you can delete it. On a blockchain, you can create and record the information, you can read it, but you can't update it, so it's tamper-proof, and you can't delete it, so it's immutable. So that's why it may be beneficial for auditing.
And in terms, is there a cost savings that you could say, hey, you really want to be on the blockchain because this could save you so much and keeping your books? Or
Yeah, that could be a point factor as well. It only costs a tenth of a penny to do a transaction on Algorand, so already it's extremely cheap. But as well, say if you were working closely with the foundation and getting started, probably supplement different types of things as well. But yeah, it's already quite cheap to do it on Algorand. And I don't know too much about accounting, so I wouldn't be able to compare how much it costs to track the books.
So
Yeah, I can't either, but you would see it. You would see the transactions just as if you were looking at somebody's books.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So let's wrap it up. I do want to say that we're going to have a deep dive into stable coins here. I'm not sure it's going to be next week because we're going to try and get some of the bankers to see what they're doing in terms of developing their own stable coins or not. I don't know. JP Morgan, I guess, is, but they're not here in South Carolina. But anyway, I would like to do that. Anybody, we'll start doing some deep dives into that. But anyway, thank you again, Sarah Jane. Really
Thank you.
appreciate
So
it.
interesting.
Isn't she great?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and she's
Yes,
got a great class.
Fantastic.
and
Wonderful.
understandable. Yes.
Thank you. All right, everybody, have a great week and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah
Thank
Jane.
Thank
you. Thank you,
you.
George.